welcome to Newsclick. The pollution level in Delhi has reached an alarming situation. Supreme Court has stepped in and has given various directions to different agencies. On the other hand, the Delhi government has taken measures like implementing odd and even numbers for vehicles on different days. To discuss the issue, we have with us D.Raghunandan from Delhi Science Forum. Hello Raghu, welcome to Newsclick. First of all, before going to the odd-even logic and the Supreme Court's directions, what actually is the situation in Delhi in terms of pollution level?
Well, the situation, as you know and as you said in your introduction, is very bad, particularly as regards particulate matter, which is particularly bad, and then nitrogen oxides, which is at bad levels, and ozone, which is not monitored as such. But when you want to, you can monitor it, and ozone, particularly at pedestrian levels, is actually quite high, which is a byproduct, if you like, of all the other pollutants. So it's very bad, and as you know, Delhi has been consistently now over the past 9 months or so been ranked in the top 10 in the world, if not number 1 or number 2 in the world. And we and Beijing seem to be chasing each other for the top spot in this. Primary cause of the pollution, which gets accentuated in winter because of the cold air, everything settles down. So there's an inversion, as they call it, involved, and pedestrians and people at ground level will feel it more. Primary cause is vehicles, dust pollution, and particulate matter coming from biomass burning both in Delhi and from the surrounding countryside around us. But the problem is that all three will get intensified and magnified during winter.
So Raghu, when you talk about the biomass burning situation that is there in Delhi, vehicle problem, so do you think there's a lack of planning on the part of government also, which has led to it no proper implementation regarding setting up of industries around the city? So does it have a role to play in it?
Yeah, of course, bad planning does, but even I think deeper than that, there has been a tendency to take very short-term view of things. You do what you think is workable for you today, and you don't look down the road 4 years, 5 years, 10 years to see what possible consequences there are. You take the biomass issue, for example. Every year Delhiites now complain that farmers in Punjab and Haryana are burning crop residues. Why are they burning crop residues? Why is it not taking place in Madhya Pradesh or Rajasthan? In the green revolution areas, and particularly in Punjab, use of combined harvesters is now very extensive. And when combined harvesters go in to a field, they don't leave a lot of post-harvest residue, crop residues like straws, stalks, etc., which traditionally in rural areas would be used as fodder and so on. The harvesters goes, chops off everything that is on top, leaving behind stubs, which are too small for you to collect and use in any sensible way. So what does the farmer do? He sets fire to it to get rid of it. And Punjab is a net importer of fodder because you've destroyed all the fodder by using combined harvesters. This is, I think, a classic example of having introduced a pattern of agriculture without thinking about what else it is going to do down the line and its other consequences. We have done the same with vehicles in Delhi. In Delhi, we have allowed our public transportation to be run to the ground till the metro came, and it's just a few years old, and frankly speaking, still to make its impact at a Delhi level. We've allowed our public transport to get run down, which has encouraged people to buy more personal vehicles. We've now designed our roads, flyovers in a way as to provide for, or if you look at it another way, to encourage people to use. Look, we have built flyovers, so why don't you take advantage of that and use? Because the idea was, we thought building flyovers means being modern, and we will build a world-class city by building world-class flyovers. So you've got world-class pollution now.
The flyovers used to be in one of the points in manifestos actually.
That's right. We have done this and we have done that, and this started in the early 80s during preparations for the Asian Games, and we haven't looked back. So actually Delhi has got more mileage of roads in the city per million of population or per thousand of population than most metros in the world. We've got more roads than Paris, we've got more roads than London. It's unbelievable but true. And the reason is because we've now got so many cars that you've run out of road space even with all this road expansion to do that. And now you've got pollution to deal with.
If we leave aside Delhi, what's the situation in other big cities in India? Just like Lucknow has been emerging as one of the most polluted capitals in the country. So can you throw some light on them?
See, one is this broad structure of how you build roads and transportation. Delhi at least has taken steps like introducing CNG in buses, in taxis, and in auto rickshaws, which makes a big difference. Otherwise, we would have had very polluting two-stroke engines driving the autos and polluting diesel driving the cars. Having done that, however, on the other side, we have encouraged diesel manufacturers to make models and sell them to private car owners for personal use. The idea used to be that diesel was made cheaper, taxed less, so that it could be available for transport of essential commodities, because you thought if you kept those fuels low, essential commodities prices would be lower. Now that privilege has been extended to personal car users also. About just a decade ago, Delhi used to have only 3% of its vehicles were diesel. Today the number has gone up to 25%. And 50% of new registrations in Delhi are of diesel vehicles. And the quality of the diesel that we make in India is poor. The standards that we have for diesel pollution is Bharat Stage 4, roughly corresponding to Euro 4 standard, whereas today in Europe you've got Euro 6 standards, which are 3 times to 4 times tighter than. Now this is the position in Delhi. We, for example, in the Delhi Science Forum have been campaigning for now close to 8 years against allowing diesel vehicles to be used as personal vehicles. We have made a series of proposals. Government had appointed an expert committee, the previous government, under the chairmanship of Professor Kirit Parikh, who had recommended, just like DSF had, of putting an upfront price on diesel. People are buying diesel vehicles today because the running cost is so low. So we said, tax the diesel vehicle, make them about 1 lakh to 1.5 lakhs more expensive than they are, so that there is a level playing field at least between diesel and petrol. That is also not done. So the car manufacturers have jumped in. Where there is a demand, there will be supply. This is the position in Delhi. But if you go, you gave the example of Lucknow. Not more than 6 state capitals in our country have anything like an effective public transportation system. Couple of buses running around is about it. Most of them are private. They run wherever they want to run. There is no timing, there is no route, there is no. Then you are left with your auto type of vehicles. And in most small towns, cities, including state capitals in this country, you have what are called wikis, which are much more polluting, less energy efficient than even the petrol driven auto rickshaws we used to have. In many places, these are nothing but diesel generators mounted on a chassis and put into a vehicle and driven. Horribly polluting vehicles going all over the city. So while they may not have the number of vehicles that we have in Delhi, the pollution that each vehicle causes will be several times more than what they are in Delhi. And if you don't provide public transport in years to come, these will multiply. And recent studies have also shown that however efficient we have made two-wheelers today are major contributors. Two-stroke engines are major contributors to pollution. And in smaller towns, people don't buy as many cars as they do in Delhi, you'll get motorcycles and scooters all over the place. Again, more pollution. So I think that we are going about our urbanization completely the wrong way in India in terms of pollution, as well as in terms of fuel usage, as well as, and significantly I think, in terms of equity. By equity I mean usage of energy, particularly costly imported energy like fossil fuels and petrol products, should be such that maximum number of people will derive the benefits. That's not happening today. It's all going into personal vehicles, and personal vehicles are getting larger, luxury consumption is increasing. At the same time, there are no buses, no viable public transport, which basically means the rich are using more and more of the imported diesel, for which all taxpayers are paying through their nose. So if you take per capita use of energy, the poor have virtually no access to motorized transport. If there are no buses, what will they do? They can't afford other forms like autos and stuff like that. The roads, the more and more we make them, they are designed only for cars. They are not meant for cyclists, they are not meant for pedestrians, so you can't use those, but you are forced to. So in a sense, we are dividing our country very sharply, increasing inequality, but the poor who spend most of their time outdoors commuting up and down are the ones who will suffer the most from the pollution.
Raghu, when you talk about the luxury cars and all that, recently Supreme Court gave a judgment that for 3 months none of such cars will be bought in Delhi. The Delhi government has come with OddEven Formula. So how feasible are these options? Actually, what are these options and how feasible are they?
See, the odd-even option basically means that it depends on your number plate. If your number plate ends with an even number, you will be allowed to travel 3 days in the week. If it's an odd number, you will be allowed to travel on the other 3 days of the week. And everybody assumes on Sunday people will stay at home. So that's the formula. Many other countries have tried it, although most other countries do it on particular days or particular periods. For example, Beijing did it during the Olympics. Paris has done it before. Many countries do this. In London, they have imposed a congestion tax on the inner part of the city. If you can imagine, Delhi is like the Lutyens zone, and you say any car entering the Lutyens zone will be charged so much per entry. It's like a toll, which discourages people from going. But in order for any of these systems to work, an alternative should be in place. If you tell me not to use my car on alternate, what do I do on those alternative days? I'll use a taxi. That's also a car. It's going to be on the road. So more cars will be on the road. More autos will be on the road to cater to me, unless you can actually increase the number of buses and make them more.
Make public transport more efficient.
Make public transport more efficient, make it more available. Personally, I believe Delhi is not ready for that yet. We don't have that much public transport. Today, the metro carries something like 2.75 million passengers a day. Your bus service, however bad it is, with about 4,000 buses currently running in Delhi, carries 3 times as many people as the metro currently does. So you need something like at least 10,000 buses to be plying in Delhi in appropriate routes. Then you can say we are offering an alternative to this. Then you need other measures to discourage a lot of motor car, personal vehicle use. Your planning has gone completely haywire. People are traveling long distances of 25, 30, 40 kilometers every day to get to their place of work from their place of residence. The planned decentralization of workplaces in Delhi has not taken place. Everybody is crowding around the districts, and even when buses ply on the road, you had this one rather poor experiment with the BRT, but rather than improving that and making it good, they've abandoned it. And now the government, the Delhi government is saying they are going to have dedicated left lane, which is like a BRT. If you're going to do it, but do it properly. My problem with the current measures is, while they are good in the sense that they indicate somebody is taking this seriously and that it has entered people's consciousness that this has to be done, There are no major protests on the road in Delhi yet against this odd-even formula, banning of diesel vehicles above so much cylinder capacity and so on, which means people realize there is a problem and that we need to take steps. But I think if we take steps, you need to give people time. You've got this measure now about diesel vehicles. Large number of taxis in Delhi run on diesel, the so-called DLY cars, the private cars. Ola cabs and so on are yet to shift to CNG. There are a lot of loopholes in the laws which enable people to do this. Vehicles which have all India permits but are actually traveling inside Delhi are bypassing the laws using those routes. Whereas I think what we need to do is to give people a time frame. If you tell all taxi owners, we are giving you 1 year, phase out your diesel vehicles and switch, then I think it will be easier on them. After all, taxi owners are not exactly the richest of people. They also need time. They have invested money in these vehicles. They need to be able to sell these vehicles outside, etc. So give people time, build alternative frameworks, and then bring about the changes you need. You also need to make Delhi more cyclist friendly and more pedestrian friendly. The importance of non-motorized transport, I think, has not been recognized in India at all, at any level, by legislature, by administration, by judiciary, by anybody. You think roads are made for cars. I remember talking to somebody, I was in China in one of their major cities, and they had these 3 lanes on either side, 6-lane roads. You had a BRT track, then you had cycle tracks, then you had pedestrian tracks, then you had shops. And I was telling somebody about this and he said, what? Such a waste of space. Now the point is, it's not waste of space, it's utilization of space segregated for different categories of road users, which includes pedestrians, cyclists. There are a lot of people in Delhi who would happily walk 2 kilometers or cycle 5 kilometers if there was safety. You have built cycle tracks, and if you look at them, you will see scooters, motorcycles, cars parked, thelas kept there. So cyclist comes back to the main road where he is the most accident prone. In road accidents in India, we kill the bulk of people who are killed in road accidents are either pedestrians and next are cyclists, which means you need to segregate those. So we need to plan comprehensively to encourage people to move away from personal vehicles. Additional measures are taxation on vehicles. Singapore has extremely stringent rules for buying cars. If you want to buy a car, you must first show that you have proper parking space. If you want to buy a second car, it will cost you 2.5 to 3 times what it costs you to buy the first car. So unless you are really rich and don't want to travel by public transport, you probably won't buy a second car. You need to do all measures of that kind, address the issue comprehensively, holistically, look at the entire problem with a perspective, segregate your solutions according to different category of users, provide people alternatives to move away from personal vehicles, and simultaneously disincentivize people from buying or using personal vehicles through taxation, tolls, taxes, whatever other measures you want.
Thanks, Raghu, for giving us your time, and as the things proceed, we'll be coming back to you on such issues. Thanks a lot. Thank you for watching Newsclick.